Huh? But you said, okay, yeah, I know what I said. I know I said I wasn't going to make any more Payday 3 videos this year, but this is a bit different. This is a special situation. And what I specifically said was that I wouldn't be playing Payday 3, okay? And that's true still, technically. In this video, I am not playing Payday 3. So, yeah, no, this is a very important thing to me, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I think this is important to discuss, and I think it's important that these points make their way back to Starbreeze. And I understand that a lot of people have looked through this blog post and they think it's a step in the right direction. A lot of people are okay with this, but I want to try and present some suggestions and ideas about why this is not okay, and why I think this will be a net negative for the game overall. Now, if you watched my video where I talked about how I wouldn't be playing Payday 3 this year, you know that I said that I am not a fan of the Payday 2 skill system, and you know, some people are a fan of the Payday 2 skill system. That's fine. If you like the Payday 2 skill system, cool, good for you. I am not someone that really enjoys the Payday 2 skill system, as I've said, and that will obviously influence my opinion here. Now, with that out of the way, I do have the current Payday 3 skills up right here, as you can see, and I will be kind of looking back at these to compare and contrast why I think the proposed new skill system has issues. But a large part of my problems with the new skill system are that it simply is boring. And I know a lot of people have this same issue with the current skill system, but that's mostly because people run solely the meta skills and they don't really look any deeper than that. They'll just, you know, look up a best skills guide and then pick those skills, and they won't experiment with anything else. And if you're one of those people, that's fine. But here's the thing, right? There are a lot of skills in current Payday 3 that are interesting or fun that you might not be using because they're not meta. And that doesn't mean these skills are bad. Some of them are actually quite good, some of them are less good, but just fun to use, and we'll get to those when we get to them. But the thing is, if you mix and match a lot of these skills, you can make a lot of very different, very varied builds. And if you've watched any of my streams last year, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I was running some really psychotic shit and was able to play the game just fine, just as well as everyone else, get just as many kills as everyone else, just as survivable as everyone else, solely because the skills don't really have that much of an influence on the game, realistically. And that could be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. If you want the skills to have more influence on the game, if you want, like, your skills to feel like, you know, you take a damage skill and, you know, it takes, like, 2 less shots to kill or something, you know, like old cutting shot, for example, when it was, like, crazy strong. Sure, whatever. But here's the thing, I was happy with that, because I feel like the current skill system is based around horizontal progression, and this is a key thing that I need to quickly explain because it's very key to how these two skill systems are different. The old Payday 3 skill system is primarily horizontal progression, and what that means is instead of stats increasing, or, you know, you do more damage, you get more health, something like that, it's more about giving you more options, more utility, giving you more stuff that you can do. Whereas vertical progression is solely about stats going up, number go up, right? And number go up was kind of how the Payday 2 skill system primarily worked. Most of the skills in Payday 2 were you get more stability, you get more accuracy, you get more concealment, you get more damage. And some of them were that, but with very strange requirements, like Underdog requiring you to have 3 enemies surrounding you so that you get a damage resistance, just number go up, but it has a requirement tacked on. And some of the requirements are very strange. Some would call it micromanagement. However, I know a lot of people don't like Edge and Rush because it's micromanagement, and I talked about this in my other video where I said I was going to play Payday 3 at the start of this year, but besides the point, okay, let's take a look quickly at the new skill system. So what they're doing is they're going back to, as you can see from this image here, they're going back to the Payday 2 style system of 3 kind of small trees, but I believe, yeah, the change is that in Payday 2 you needed to go up each individual tree, but in this one, if you put points into, say, the left tree, you can take points in the middle and right tree without needing to go up those trees. That's neat, that's interesting. However, this does raise the problem of, if you want a skill that's in one of the trees that is in a completely different category, you can't do that. So I'm just going to quickly run you through a build that I really liked running up until I stopped really playing the game regularly, which was a gunslinger build. And gunslinger, for those of you that are unaware, is based around hipfire. It's based around increasing, making hipfire actually viable, giving you better accuracy while hipfiring, which is vertical progression, but it also comes with some other fun stuff like Finisher. Finisher on its own is a skill that a lot of people think is bad, and they're not really wrong, right? Finisher isn't a great skill, however, you could use Finisher in combination with compact mags to create builds based around compact mags and based around emptying your magazine to deal more damage. It's a really interesting playstyle that obviously isn't meta, it's not strong, but like I've been saying, you don't need to run meta in Payday 3 to play the game. I got some friends together after they added shield armor, and we just played every heist with shield armor with no skills. And shield armor is so stupid, crazy strong that you don't need any skills to play on overkill and get through every heist. Look, you don't need to run meta, okay? It's okay. Just calm down. It's not meta. I know it's not meta. But it's still a fun skill and it opens up a new playstyle based around hipfire and low mag sizes. For example, you can use this with the bull kick to deal absolutely fucking ridiculous damage on the last shot of your magazine, right? And that kind of negates one of the issues of the bull kick, which is that it can't deal with dozer visors very well. Well, if you have one shot left in the bull kick, shoot the dozer visor, you're gonna deal 3 times damage. Okay, it's very effective in situations like that. It makes low capacity weapons stronger. It makes compact mags more viable. It is a very fun, unique skill that I think was enjoyable. And same as Locked and Loaded. You could do some fun stuff with Locked and Loaded in combination with the gunslinger playstyle of swapping weapons back and forth. And that was how I played the game. Now, if we look at the new skill system, those skills are gone. There is just no replacement, and this is my primary issue with the new skill system. A lot of skills like this that were interesting, your last shot deals extra damage, better hipfire accuracy, stuff like that, these just don't exist because they've had to because presumably from what some of these skill descriptions said, they're also doing a enemy rebalance at the same time. It seems like they're also gonna rework enemy armor, and they're gonna do like a difficulty rebalance. So because of that, the game is now going to be more focused on increasing damage, because enemies are going to have more armor, so you need to deal more damage to counter the extra armor that they have, is my assumption on how this is going to work. So because they needed to make room for more damage skills, they had to drop all of the actually unique skills, like Finisher, or like Hacker Ace, which is strange because Hacker Ace was one of the skills that was shown in the release trailer, right? Hacker Ace is the one where you can hack a camera and then detonate the camera to stun everyone within 15 meters. That's a huge radius. Oh, and it also works on drones as well. I don't think the drone skills are even in. I don't think hacking drones are even in the current. Oh no, never mind. You can hack drones still. That's in. What tree is this? Black Cat. Okay. Although I don't think you can detonate them anymore. No, the detonation skill is just completely gone. You can't detonate drones anymore, which is where Hacker Ace really shined. It was in the fact that you could detonate drones. But yeah, this is the main issue with this skill rework. They're dropping a lot of the interesting unique skills, such as Blade Bouncer. Again, if you've watched any of my streams, you'll know that I fucking love throwing knives, and Blade Bouncer especially is one of the reasons why I love throwing knives. Because Blade Bouncer is a skill that has a really high skill floor. It takes a lot of practice to be able to consistently make use of it, but in theory it also has a crazy skill ceiling, because if you learn the bouncers, if you learn how to control them, you can do some absolutely crazy shit with this. And in the current rework proposal, if we go down to where throwing knives are, there is nothing like this. As you can see, throwing knives deal more damage. Throwing knives cause bleeding on targets, which causes them to take twice as much damage directly to their health over 8 seconds, or 3 if it's aced. This is all damage focused. There is nothing here that is unique. It's just purely about increasing damage. Even fan throw 2 throwing knives at once, throw 3 throwing knives at once. This is purely about increasing the amount of damage you can deal at once. You're just throwing extra knives at the same time. All 3 of these skills are just about increasing your damage, and then this one here is purely about giving you more throwing knives at a single time. And then same here, Hidden Blade. If you have at least one throwing knife, perform a quick melee on an enemy will spend the knife to instantly kill your target. Deal damage. All of these throwing knife skills are purely about dealing damage, and the uniqueness of Blade Bouncer is just gone. Now, Blade Bouncer does have an extra stat, which is the throwing knife will do extra damage for each bounce. However, in practice, the way the game currently works, I'm not sure what, like I said, after they do the enemy rework, because more armor, so the way the game currently works, the extra damage from Blade Bouncer is pretty much irrelevant. It doesn't actually come up at all. The only time the extra damage is relevant is with shields. Or at least it used to be with shields. I think they changed shield armor, didn't they? And it doesn't actually work that way anymore. You get my point, right? The extra damage from Blade Bouncer wasn't ever the main reason you took the skill. It was because the blades bounced. That was it. That was the reason you took Blade Bouncer. And all of these skills, literally all of these skills, are about increasing damage. There is nothing unique here. If you have at least one throwing knife from a quick melee, will spend the knife to instantly kill your target. Like I said, the way the game currently works, one throwing knife kills most enemies just straight up. They are obviously, like I said, going to change enemy armor or something, it looks like, so I don't know if that will still be the case after this update. If one throwing knife still kills most enemies, there would be no benefit to ever doing this because you would just be losing knives. It would be more efficient to just throw the knife at point blank. There is no reason you would ever want to melee to kill someone, unless it's like a shield, but even then you can just throw 2 knives, and fan throw makes you throw 3 knives. Laceration allows you to deal double throwing knife damage directly to health, so you'll be able to kill the shields anywhere with a combination of deep wounds and laceration. Honestly, I don't even know why laceration truly exists, because the only thing that this would benefit towards is killing dozers. And even then, just laceration ace would allow you to do that in 3 seconds, unless they're also going to buff dozer health, which they might do, in which case deep wounds might be required. These throwing knife skills upset me deeply because they make no sense. So not only have they removed Gunslinger, which is, as I said, my preferred way of playing the game, they removed Blade Bouncer, which was my preferred way of playing the game. So what do I have left? I don't know, medbags? Healing? Now, some of you might be thinking, but Gunslinger isn't completely gone, and you would be correct, because Quick Draw here was, in fact, a gunslinger skill, and this has been changed to be to do with handguns now, right? Pistolier ace, for each point in the skill line, handguns receive an accuracy bonus of 5%. That's not too dissimilar from the hipfire accuracy skill, but it's specifically about handguns receiving an accuracy bonus. Doesn't say hipfire, doesn't say ADS, so you can use this in hipfire, but it's specifically for handguns. There is no way to increase hipfire accuracy, from what I can tell, for other weapon types. Other than SMGs, there is explicitly an SMG skill, but my preferred playstyle was Deagle, which would benefit from this skill tree, and the R900. The only sniper rifle skills are all the way down here, which doesn't have anything to do with hipfire. It's all to do with headshots, aiming down sights, increasing damage. You see my problem, right? There are no skills that really allow you to change your playstyle. All the skills here are just kind of pre-built packages. If you want to play with sniper rifles, you take the sniper rifle tree. If you want to play with pistols, you take the pistol tree. If you want to play with SMGs, you take the SMG tree. And because of the new system where, obviously, if you take one of the 3 trees, you can take the other skills in the other 2 trees without needing to also spend points in those trees, so you can just take whatever skills you want if you max out one tree. This is pushing you to only spend within one group of 3, so effectively you have these pre-made classes that are just here, ready, like, all set up, so everyone is just going to end up running the same exact skills. This isn't going to do anything for skill diversity, and that's exactly the same problem PD2 had as well. If you wanted to make a dodge build, you would run the exact same skills as everyone else. If you wanted to make an anarchist build, you would probably end up running the exact same. Well, there's a couple of different builds you can do anarchist. You can do ICTV anarchist or suit anarchist, but most people do suit anarchist because it's technically better. This is just going to kill the build diversity that PD3 currently has, but people don't recognize because they only run the meta. They don't look at the other skills. For example, move and cover. This is a skill that was pretty much a sleeper pick for gunslinger builds. because it was a way to instantly get grit with Gunslinger. And I understand Edge, Grit and Rush, not for everyone, people don't like it necessarily, it's a bit of a controversial thing. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I said before that I think they should add more ways of buffs interacting with skills and stuff like that. I still think that would work, but also if they want to remove EGR, that's fine, as long as they come up with a suitable replacement. What they've come up with is not a suitable replacement. Speaking of SMG skills, let me just quickly show you the SMG, a couple of SMG skills. When you use an SMG to kill an enemy within 6 meters, gain a buff that increases your SMG tipfire accuracy by 35%. Every time you kill an enemy with an SMG from farther than 6 meters, gain a buff that increases your ADS accuracy with SMGs by 35%. Each buff lasts for 4 seconds. I'm sorry, but that is way more convoluted than any skill currently in the game. People are complaining about micromanagement right now. This shit is the definition of like if an enemy is like on the edge of 6 meters and you need one of these specific buffs, you're not gonna fucking know which buff you're gonna get. Like, this is stupid. Same as the SMG capstone skill as well. When you reload an empty magazine from your SMG, gain a buff that increases SMG damage by 5% for 10 seconds. This buff can stack up to 10 times, and its duration refreshes when you reload another empty magazine from your SMG. Once the buff reaches maximum stacks, it can no longer refresh. It will expire after 10 seconds. That is so much shit. Like, that is so many requirements and, like, conditions and stuff that is just thrown on top of this. If this was just Edge, Grit and Rush, this would just be when you reload an empty magazine from your SMG, gain Edge. That's all this would be. This is more complicated than Edge, Grit and Rush. There are so many different conditions and things like that. This is just more complicated. This is more micromanagement. You get what I mean? Like, this isn't any better. This is objectively not any better than the current system. I don't see how you could try and make that argument, like, in good faith. This is not any better. It's a sidestep. They've removed all the interesting skills, they've removed all the horizontal progression in favour of vertical progression. And that's another problem as well. The skills aren't as general as the current ones, because the current skills are very generalistic so that they can apply to as many sort of things as possible. Like, you aren't locked into using a specific weapon type outside of, like, a couple of skills. The sharpshooter, the scope skills require you to actually use a marksman rifle. Most of the skills in the current system allow you complete flexibility in how you equip weapons and how you make your build. This new system locks you in. If you want to use flashbangs, you take the flashbang tree. If you want to use, like, medbags, you take the medbag tree. It's kind of like that right now, obviously, as well, right? Because medic has all the medbag stuff, but also fortitude has some medbag stuff in it as well. You can take some of the skills from one or some of the skills from the other, or all the skills from both. Stockpile applies to every deployable, it's not just medbags. You get what I mean? Like, there's more flexibility in the current system that doesn't exist in this new system. And I'm not here to, like, just completely shit on this new system. Like, I think some of the skills in here are interesting. Some of them are fun. If you're wondering what I personally would have done for a skill rework, I personally would have simply removed the requirement to have the base skills in each line. And you might be thinking, oh, but that sounds broken. Again, I'd like to remind you that we were playing overkill difficulty with just one chunk shield armor and no skills, and we were having a completely fine time. The game is already unbalanced. Balance at this point is non-existent and does not matter. I would like to present an argument as to why removing the base skill requirement would be an interesting change, and my entire explanation for this comes down to Transporter. If you want to take skills in Transporter, you're forced to take Transporter Basic, which means you basically have no reason not to take Beast of Burden, because it's just 1 point and it completely negates all bag movement speed penalties and makes Powerlifter, which most people are taking Transporter for anyway, have no downside. If you were able to take Powerlifter without Transporter Basic, with Beast of Burden, that means you'll be able to make builds where you get rushed from, say, Infiltrator Basic, for example, kill an enemy with a throwing knife. So you pick up a bag, or you pick up 2 bags, you're moving really slowly, you throw a throwing knife at someone, you gain rush, and then the bag movement speed penalty disappears. That would be interesting. That would be a more fun way of playing Transporter. More build options, more flavour, more variety. It would make the skill system more open, more customizable, and I think that would be more fun. But obviously, we have decreed skill lines are going, EGR is going, so, like, I've made my peace with that. Like, We can get rid of skill lines, we can get rid of EGR. Hopefully I've made my points, right? I don't want to spend too long talking here because I know people have tiny attention spans and they're going to see this video about me criticising the current skill system, they're going to dislike it and leave comments about how I'm wrong and stupid. But like, I just wanted to get this out of the way because this is important to me somewhat, and if I'm gonna ever come back to this game, I don't want it to be with this skill system. If it has this skill system, I'm just straight up not gonna play the game anymore. I already said I wasn't gonna play the game this year anyway, but I have played it like once or twice, like just by myself, just to kind of like see the new content that's been added. Speaking of which, by the way, like 4 updates this year, very cool. I was actually thinking maybe, you know, next year I'll do a video where I come back and I'm like, hey, let's take a look at everything that happened last year. And so far, this year has given me nothing to talk about. Everything that I predicted in my original video so far has come true. The actual content that has been released has been barely anything. It's been inconsequential. There's just not anything to talk about. There's nothing to cover here. And if this skill system change goes through, I'm not going to enjoy the game if I come back to it next year. Like, I just straight up will not enjoy the system compared to the old system. I don't know what else to do. Like, the only opportunity I have is to make a video, hope this somehow reaches somebody at Starbreeze and they take this into account. The fact that vertical progression, I do not think belongs in Payday that much. I think the current, like, more horizontal focus progression was better for the game. I think the way the game is currently balanced, where enemies have the same amount of health and armor on every difficulty, is perfectly okay. I don't want enemies to have a shit ton of armor and become bullet sponges. That's what I don't like about Payday 2. Like, one down, the enemies have so much health, so much fucking health, and you need to build damage to be able to play one down. Obviously you don't need to, there'll be one down purists out there that are like, actually, you can use the MCAR with no skills and play the game just fine, but okay, you guys are psychopaths, right? That's not how most people want to play Payday 2. Most people just want to play on Death Wish or below because one down is stupid and enemies have too much health. Please change this. Please, I'm not against, like, the core ideas here. I'm not against the ideas of getting rid of Edge Grit and Rush. I'm not against the ideas of creating these, like, multiple trees. I think that's totally fine and totally reasonable. It's more akin to what people want and expect from Payday. I just don't like the focus on damage and the complete lack of literally anything else. That's the main thing that I want changed here. I just want there to be horizontal progression, more utility skills, more, you know, just more fun stuff. More stuff like Gunslinger, more stuff like Battering Ram. You know, shit that isn't really super important, but it's just a fun skill that gives you some kind of flavour to your build, something that other people might not take but you take because, fuck it, it's fun. I don't want everything to just be take damage upgrades because that's all there is to take. Thank you very much for listening to me rant. I'm gonna have to figure out how to edit this into a concise sort of video that it isn't too repetitive and boring, and that's gonna drive me nuts, but hopefully I've made some points here about why this isn't a good necessarily change. And if you still disagree, if you still think that, if you still prefer this, if you still prefer vertical over horizontal progression, that's fine. I can't change your mind, right? I just wanted to try and present the argument for the alternative, for why not doing it this way would be more fun and better. And it seems like that's not going to happen at this point. I just don't want to see everything become vertical progression. That's my problem, okay? But yeah, thank you very much for listening to me rant. Hopefully this video doesn't get too many dislikes, we'll see.